My wife loves going to thrift stores, not just to save money on purchases that would cost much more at a retail store, but she likes to go there to make money. There's a certain kind of woven basket that thrift stores often mistakenly mix with all the other baskets. The baskets she's looking for are stamped collector's items worth much more than the average basket. It's surprising how often she finds them among the $1 and $2 baskets. These are things that, though they were seen by many, their value went unnoticed. Unfortunately, the same thing happens with people. Welcome to Building Mettle, brought to you by Baird & Wilson Sheet Metal. In our first episode of Building Mettle, we talked about how we tend to place value in the wrong things. Jesus told many stories that reveal where God places value. One day, the religious leaders, people called the Pharisees and teachers of the law of Moses, were complaining about how Jesus is always hanging out with the sketchy people, the tax collectors and sinners, the human equivalents in their eyes of cheap thrift store baskets. So Jesus told them a series of 3 stories. The first one features a shepherd who had 100 sheep. 100 sheep is a substantial number, yet if one of the sheep is lost, doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. And he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep." Jesus said, when one of these people I hang out with changes their mind and decides to give their life to God, there is a party in heaven. The second story features a woman who has 10 silver coins, each of which is worth a day's wages. If she were to lose one of them, she would turn on all the lights and thoroughly sweep through the entire house until she found the one lost one. And when she found it, she would tell all her friends and family about it. Jesus said, "In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." Finally, the third story features a wealthy man who had 2 sons. One day, the younger one said, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So the father granted his son's request. In this culture, the son was basically saying to his dad, "You're dead to me, so you might as well give me my inheritance now." He had no desire to be part of his father's life again. So he took the money and he went to live far away in another country. And there, he squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent all his money, a severe famine came on the land. He had to find a job or else starve to death. The best he could do was find work as a hired hand whose job was to feed pigs. It paid so little, and he was so hungry that he found himself wanting to eat the pig's food. In this first-century Jewish culture, this would be the most disgraceful place a person could ever end up. And he was here because of his own foolish choices. One day, perhaps when he was just about to join the pigs for breakfast, he came to his senses. He thought, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.'" So he set off on the long and shameful journey home, hoping that his dad would have mercy enough to take him on as a worker on the family estate. As the son got near his dad's property, while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. His dad had been watching for him, hoping against hope that he would see the silhouette of his son on the road that leads home. In this first-century culture, it's undignified for a man to lift his robe, kick up his heels, and run. Yet the father was so excited to see his son, he didn't care how ridiculous he looked. The son immediately launched into the speech he had practiced on the way home. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But Dad wasn't listening. The father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." So they began to celebrate. Jesus is saying this is how our Heavenly Father feels about anyone who wants to come home to Him. The God of the universe is running after you. Then the older brother came out from the fields and heard the music playing and asked a servant what was going on. When the servant told him, the older brother became angry and refused to join in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him." "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The story was clear to the ones listening to Jesus. He was saying his sketchy friends, the tax collectors and sinners, were like the younger son. The older son was like the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, the religious people, who failed to see the heart of God and His stamp of high value on the people they think are just cheap thrift store baskets. God is the shepherd who hunts for the lost sheep. He's the woman who searches frantically for the lost coin. And He's the father running toward the horizon to welcome his wandering son back home. Here are some tools to take with you this week. Number 1. Our heart begins to change its condition when we see the condition of God's heart. Number 2. You are always on your Heavenly Father's mind. And number 3. No matter where you go, He is running after you. We'll be back again soon with another episode of Building Mettle. The music of Building Mettle is a production of Jed Brewer and Good Loud Media, Oak Park, Illinois. Also special thanks to Christ Community Church, Oak Ridge, Tennessee.